Lucia Night. Night fell early on December 13. The snow lay thick across the Star Valley, and the moon hung low, round and silver white like an old Christmas apple in the sky. Inside the house, the air quivered with anticipation. Mimsy darted back and forth, her braids browsing like bells as she rummaged around for her largest, most cropped hat. "It's tonight," she cheered. "Lucia Night, the night when light sinks and darkness falls silent if, of course, everything goes according to plan." Miss Sofie wriggled her nose, and she tried to adjust her own little red of candles. "And if it doesn't?" Mimsy frozen for a moment and looked at her gravely. "Then the shadow danced with us." A small shiver ran through Miss Sophie's chest, but she wagged her tail bravely. There was no turning back. Lucia Night came only once a year, and all of the Star of Valley was invited. When they stepped out into the snow, the world shimmered with living light. Elves, animals, and people gathered in the square before the old church. Everywhere, torches and lamps glowed, and in the center stood a great spruce tree adorned with snow crystals that sparkled like stars. Whimsy moved her head at John's angle and looked very official. "Every Lucia must carry one light in her hand and one in her heart," she said solemnly. "I've got two in each hand just to be safe." Sophie giggled, but the laughter faded as the music began, first soft, then rising, a swell of voices lifting into the crisp night air. The light dances across the snow, and Miss Sofie felt light as a flame as she joined the procession. Then it happened. In the mist of the sun, every light flickered at once. A gust of wind rushed through the valley, and darkness swallowed the flames like a hungry mouth. The shadow whispered, "Whimsy." Panic rippled through the crowd. Only the moon's pale glow remained, casting long, trembling shadows across the snow. Miss Sophie's fur bristles. She could feel the cold of the darkness trying to creep into her. "Hold on to your light, Sophie," shouted Whimsy somewhere in the dark. Miss Sophie closed her eyes. Deep inside, she could still feel the little ember she had carried since the first key, that quiet flame within her chest. She focused on it, completely still, as one tries to recall a melody from a dream. A faint light flickered in her palm, first a spark, then a beam. The glow grew, and suddenly Miss Sofie stood surrounded by a golden halo, spreading outwards like ripples on water. The darkness recalled it, hissing and whispering, unable to bear her light. Whimsy came running toward her, her braids wild. "You did it! You kept it alive!" Slowly, the other lights began to rekindle. Voices returned, first timid, then stronger, filled with warmth. The Lucia procession moved forward again, now with a new tone, deeper, braver, more alive. Miss Sofie walked at the front, her little red shone, though its candles were unlit. The glow came from within her. When the final song faded, the whole valley was bathed in peaceful light. Snowflakes fell gently, glimmering like dust from the stars. Lucia Night always remembers the one who dares to carry the light, whispered Wimsey. Miss Sofie looked up at the sky, where the clouds had parted, and a single star shone brighter than all the rest. She took a deep breath and felt that the star was answering her. Next time, said Wimsey, rubbing her hands, maybe you can teach me that trick with lighting up without matches. Miss Sofie smiled and nodded her playfully. Only if you promise not to blow it out again. They laughed as the snow fell softly around them. The celebration went on through the night, but for Miss Sofie, something inside had changed. The light was no longer just something she carried. It was something that she was. And if you dare, come back tomorrow, and then you can hear about the Star Forest. Merry Christmas.